No more mistakes. Mastering modal verbs in questions and negatives. Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to tackle a subject that often confuses English learners: modal verbs in questions and negatives. Specifically, we'll take a closer look at some common mistakes that people often make. Our goal is to help you master these tricky constructions and use them correctly in your own speaking and writing. Before we dive into the common mistakes, let's quickly recap what modal verbs are. Modal verbs are a special type of verbs that express things like ability, necessity, obligation, and possibility. They include words like can, could, may, might, must, shall, should, will, would, and ought to. Modal verbs are unique because they don't change their form depending on the subject. For example, we say, she can swim, not, she can swim. One common mistake is incorrectly forming questions with modal verbs. Remember, the modal verb should always come before the subject in a question. Incorrect: she can go to the party? Correct: can she go to the party? The wrong order of words is a typical mistake for English learners because many languages don't change the word order in questions. But in English, it's vital to get this right. Another area where mistakes commonly occur is in forming negatives with modal verbs. The key rule here is that we always use not after the modal verb to make it negative. Incorrect: she cannot goes to the party. Correct: she cannot go to the party. Or she can't go to the party. Sometimes people mistakenly try to conjugate the main verb in the negative form, but with modal verbs, the negative form is always created by adding not to the modal verb, and the main verb remains in the base form. Finally, a common issue is mixing up modal verbs that have similar meanings. It's important to remember that while some modal verbs are similar, they're not always interchangeable. For example, must not versus don't have to. Must not means it's necessary not to do something. Don't have to means it's not necessary to do something, but you can if you want. There's a big difference between you must not go to the party, it's important that you don't go, and you don't have to go to the party. You can go if you want, but it's not necessary. So that wraps up our discussion on common mistakes with modal verbs in questions and negatives. With practice, you can avoid these errors and use modal verbs correctly and confidently. Remember, English is a skill, and every mistake is an opportunity to improve. So keep practicing, and you'll get the hang of it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy learning!